Cek cek. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon from Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Asofi Hanafadila. It's a precious chance for us to be your master of ceremony of this very special moment. Welcome to collaboration program and visiting lecturer with theme designing research for publication. This event is presented by University of Muhammadiyah Professor Dr. Hamka and Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance. First of all, let us pray and praise to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Because of His bless and mercy, we can attend in collaboration program and visiting lecturer without any obstacle here with healthy conditions. The Honorable Professor Dr. Haji Gunawan Suryaputra, Master of Humaniora as the Rector, University of Muhammadiyah Professor Dr. Hamka, the Honorable Dr. Zulfahmi as the Dean of Economic and Business Faculty of University of Muhammadiyah Professor Dr. Hamka, the Honorable Prof. Datin Dr. Rusni Hassan as the Dean of Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, the Honorable Prof. Dr. Razali Harun as Deputy Dean of Islamic Banking and Finance, the Honorable Dr. Muhammad Habibullah as Coordinator Marketing and Promotion, the Honorable Presenters in Collaboration Program and Visiting Lecturer, and the community commits and participant in collaboration program and visiting lecturer. Before we come to the main session, let us start this by praying first so the event that we will hold on this day will run well without any obstacle at all. Ladies and gentlemen, on this seminar, let me deliver the structure of the event today as follows. And the first, listening to the national anthem Indonesian Raya, the speech collaboration program and visiting lecturer from Professor Datin Dr. Rusni Hassan as the Dean of Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance. And the next speech and opening from the Professor Dr. Haji Gunawan Suryaputra, Master of Humaniora as Rector, University of Muhammadiyah Professor Dr. Hamka. Now, move to the next agenda. Singing National Anthem Indonesia Raya. For the audience, please stand up.
Sana
The next agenda is the speech delivered by Professor Datin Dr. Rusni Hassan to Professor Doc- Pro- Maaf, Professor Datin Dr. Rusni Hassan. Time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I'm so happy to be here. Alhamdulillah, first of all, of course, our syukur lillahi ta'ala. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are here today. Allah have given us good health for all of us to be here in this event which is full of barakah inshallah. And I am happy, and then my thank you very much to UHAMKA, particularly to Professor um, Rector, yeah, of which accepting us for our short visit, of which inshallah our intention today is to us for explore the collaboration between the two institutions inshallah, and hoping for that inshallah with this barakah of Yaumul Jum'ah, inshallah, then we will be able to do and then to execute activities for the benefit of both institutions, inshallah. And I was informed that most of the students in this faculty are S1, yeah, undergraduate. So what I can simply put into the perspective of our discussion today is that we welcome you, any one of you, to IIUM Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, particularly for those who would like to pursue their study in Islamic economy and Islamic finance. We do offer the program for Masters of Science in Islamic Banking and Finance and also PhD for Islamic Banking and Finance. And I believe that there are some of the academic staff here are also the alumni of our Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance. Just a brief introduction of the Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance. We have been established as a faculty in the International Islamic University, and then our universities actually have the collaboration, the MOU signed between UHAMKA as well as IIUM. So our intention today is more on collaborating, specifically on between the faculty and the Institute of Islamic Banking. This collaboration can be in the form of, for example, exchange between the students as well as the academic staff, of which we will be able to exchange our knowledge, to share our experience, as well as exploring the possibility of research collaboration. Our expertise in IIBF is on Islamic banking and finance. Alhamdulillah, so far we have been recognized as the global and top universities that producing research in Islamic banking and finance. Thank you very much. Our strength is actually lies on the list, or what we call it, the academic lecturers who are from the diverse background and also have exposure directly to the Islamic banking and finance industry, either in Malaysia as well as globally. Now, as regards to Islamic banking and finance, Malaysia and Indonesia are always countries in Southeast Asia being the leader and pioneer in Islamic banking and finance. For the last couple of years, Malaysia and Indonesia rank number 1 and number 2 as regards to Islamic finance development indicator. And these two countries, Malaysia and Indonesia, are very strong as regards to the Islamic finance education. So on that basis then, we are offering the students or the lecturers our capability in terms of teaching and learning Islamic finance and Islamic banking and finance, as well as research collaboration together. We have my Deputy Dean who will be talking on matching on the research or collaboration in research afterward, Associate Professor Dr. Razali, who will be sharing with you, inshallah, in terms of what are the areas moving forward. And I believe that this is the area that we can explore further, in particular, to do international research collaboration between the two institutions. So then, of course, all students are very much welcome to come and visit our beautiful campus in Gombak. Okay, and then maybe some of you have come over to Gombak campus, but all of you, we have an open hand, open heart to all of you. You are very much welcome to do the exchange and mobility program. For example, the lecturers can come over to our institution in terms of again exchange program, research program. We can also collaborate in terms of research and supervision and so on and so forth. So I think this is my brief, I would say, what we call it, remarks, and then we can see the
Um,
possibility. We can see that there is room and
Bahasa Inggris.
opportunities for both institutions to excel together or to enhance our quality of education together, particularly in the area of Islamic economy and Islamic finance. So our intention today is to explore that opportunity, and then we are very much grateful with the presence of our highly respected rector, and it shows the support of the respected rector to, inshallah, our future collaboration. On that, thank you very much, uh, respected rector, the dean, the faculty members, and most importantly, all the students. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thanks to Professor Dr. Datin, Professor Datin Dr. Rusni Hassan. And the next agenda is speech from Professor Dr. Haji Gunawan Suryo Putro as Rector of University of Muhammadiyah, Professor Dr. Hamka. The time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa syukurillah la khola wa la quwata illa billah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah, amma ba'du. Respected Dean of the IAUM, Institute of Islam, International Islamic University Malaysia, Professor Dr. Datin Rusni Hassan, respected speakers today, Associate Professor Dr. Razali Harun, and also Dr. Muhammad Habibullah. Welcome to UHAMKA, University of Muhammadiyah, Professor Dr. Hamka, particularly at the Faculty of Economic and Business. Our colleagues, Professor Dr. Rahman Agani, Vice Rector for Academic Affairs, the Dean of the Faculty of Economic and Business, Dr. Julpahmi, and along with the Vice Dean, Head of Department, and my dear students. First of all, we would like to welcome to our guests today, Professor Datin, and then Associate Professor Razali and Dr. Muhammad, to our university. As I just introduced at our VIP room that UHAMKA has 7, yeah, campuses spread in different location in the area of Jakarta here, and this is one, that is the Faculty of Economic and Business, in which I'm officially also have the office here today. As the Dean of the Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, AUM, that today uh, is the event in which collaboration program and visiting lecturers begin at the Faculty of Economic and Business. To be honest, actually UHAMKA have already signed the MOU with EUM. For the last 3 years, the Faculty of Pharmacy have already collaborated with the Faculty of Pharmacy of EUM. And today is the second faculty, if not mistaken, then become the partner between UHAMKA and EUM. As known that EUM is the top Islamic university. We know that. And it is, I think, a good opportunity for the academic staff of the Faculty of Economic and Business and the student to collaborate with the Institute of Finance and Banking of the EUM. And I respond positively the cooperation that the Dean, Professor Datin, just offered to us. Not only the research collaboration, but also student mobility. And starting from the student mobility, I believe that some of our students will be interested in pursuing or continuing to study for further program at EUM. I believe that. As for the collaboration for research, UHAMKA actually have several partners in the international university, and now we have running well. And therefore later, I hope that the Dean of Faculty of Economic and Business have to discuss with the Dean of the EUM to discuss for that cases. We have several schemes for the research collaboration, and we have been successful in doing this. Let me mention that actually we have already been cooperation with UTP and Universitas Utara Malaysia for a long time. Research collaboration and publication with that, except Faculty of Economy and Business. And therefore, it is good opportunity for the academic staff of the Faculty of Economy and Business to have collaboration with the Institute of Finance of Islamic Banking and Finance of IUM. If we refer to our today topic for the lectures presented by Associate Professor Razali Arun, yeah, as for the designing research for publication. We know that publication is one of the crucial and essential activities for the academic staff and student. So we know that university, as one of the mission, is of course to make a research, and then the research should be published. And the reputation of the university, of course, is depend of the productivity of the academic staff and the student. So I'm sure that our topic today is very essential for us, and I do hope that all the audience today can follow, and I believe you will get the new horizon and ideas from our respected speakers today from the Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance. Again, thank you, Professor Datin. Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Razali and Dr. Muhammad for visiting us today. And this is not this is the beginning of our collaboration, and we make further activities to together, and to, of course, that is our concern as a part of the academician, as part of the academics staff and also student. And one point that I would like to inform to the dean, that now we have kind of student mobility quite freely, meaning that in the past, if we have student mobility to have credit transfer, the regulation from the Minister of Education of Republic of Indonesia is very strict and tough. But today is not that. So we are free to design, and as long as we have to report, and then we recognize as the credit. And therefore, we have no many program from the student mobility. Also the other activities, also our minister now give the opportunity to all the university to have collaboration with other university. Therefore, please use this opportunity to have a collaboration. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thanks to Professor Dr. Haji Gunawan Suryo Putra. The next agenda is award the gift from UHAMKA to Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, IIUM. Please come to the stage. Now, let's move to the main agenda. Before we start the agenda, let's open this event by saying Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The next agenda is the visiting lecturer from Associate Professor Dr. Razali Harun as Deputy Dean of Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance. This topic will be guided by a moderator, Mrs. Mila Indriastuti. To Mrs. Mila Indriastuti, the time and place is yours.
Okay. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, I would like to thank God Allah Subhanahu wa Taala who has been giving us blessing and mercies, so we can attend this seminar in a good condition, right? Is it all participant in here is sick? I hope no, yeah. Inshallah. Okay, may salawat and salam are always given to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who has taught their people respectively in order to attain happy and prosperous life in this world and hereafter. Then I would like to thank the MC, Mrs. Sophie, for giving me an opportunity to speak here as a moderator. Theme for this session is designing research for publications, and Mr. Harun, as Deputy Dean in International Islamic University Malaysia, IIUM, will be the presenter for today. And is it possible to give a CV in here, in screen? Okay. 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 Okay, it's okay. Okay. For the this is but this is your CV. Is yes. Short CV. Okay. Okay. This is the CV for Mr. Razali bin Harun. All participants can hear. He had extensive industrial experience for almost 13 years, covering the capital market, portfolio management, unit trust industry, and merchant banking in Malaysia. So, mashallah, yeah, we got the best presenter in here. Okay, and there are many experience from him. So it's time for Mr. Okay, this is Mr. Razali Harun to give presentations. Yes, okay, yeah, okay, okay. Before we begin, please be informed that please turn off your mobile phone or make sure your phone in silent mode. And the presentation takes around 40 minutes in total. Okay, okay. And okay, yes, in total 40 minutes. Please plus Q&A. So 40 minutes in total. And if you have any question for Mr. Razali, please use the chat feature in this hybrid seminar, or you can raise hand. And then questions they will be answered randomly according to the available time. Okay, now please welcome our presenter to deliver the presentations. Mr. Razali Harun's time is yours. Oh, sorry, for the slide for the presentation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Terlebih dahulu saya ingin mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada semua warga UMHAMKA kerana menerima kami datang ke sini, dan kami juga mengucapkan terima kasih banyak kepada Pak Rektor yang sangat-sangat sudi menerima kami, dan begitu juga dengan Dr. Zulfahmi sebagai Dekan Fakultis Ekonomik dan Bisnes UHAMKA, dan dosen-dosen, Vice Dean dan juga semua pelajar semua. Jadi di sini saya sebenarnya ingin I would like to share the topic that has been given to me, which is called Designing Research for Publication. Now, before I share my thought on this topic, basically I was made to understand that the students have to publish, right? And also the academic staff have to publish. So we always start from the beginning, then after we going through the process, we start to learning our experience. So what I'm sharing today, I'm trying to share my experience, and my thought with regards to the topic, designing research for publication, which is given to me. Now, if we look at the topic, this topic about research, and this research must be published, right? So it's no point that we do the research, it is not publishable, right? So therefore, what I'm going to share today is actually what are needed and what are we supposed to do, and what are we going to strategize in order for our research can be published. So therefore, in order for the research to be published, it has to meet certain quality. Boleh ya? Okay. Can I have the next slide? Okay. Now, in this slide, basically, when we talk about publication, there are two important things. Number one, journal suitability. What does it mean by journal suitability? That means journal yang kita submit itu, dia mesti sama dengan apa yang kita hendak submit. That means you have the research, right? So in order for you to submit your research to the journal must receive, or the journal is basically in line what research that you do. That is what I mean by journal suitability. So that means we must know the background of the journal, and the journal is suitable with our research work. That will be criteria number one. Now, criteria number two is the research that we do, the topic must be trending topic. That means the topic must be relevant topic. Alright? So therefore, these two important things, if we can meet it, so therefore there is a very high chance for us to publish our research work. Okay, now in order for me to explain these two aspects, which is journal suitability and also trending topic, all this basically can be explained using a database. So without database, it's very difficult for the researcher to explain the subject. That's why research is always called data-driven. So we need to have a data-driven in order for us to tell something about our research. So therefore, with regards to the data, we basically have four database. Okay, I think all of us is very familiar with Sinta, Okay, indexing on Indonesian journal. And then we also have my site on Malaysia. But the one that I would like to focus today is actually database called Scopus. So the database called Scopus will guide the data that I use for this presentation. Next slide, please. Can I have next? Okay. Now, when we go into the Scopus database, all right, the previous one. No, this is the second. Can I have the second page after this? Next. Okay. Now, when we go into the database, the page is not the same. All right. When we go into the database, let's say for example, I'm a researcher and I'm interested to do topic on Islamic social finance. All right. So that is the topic that I'm interested. I'm the researcher in this area. But of course, the topic can be any topic as long that it's related to your interest, right? Now, when I go into this Islamic social finance, next slide, please. Okay. Now, when I go into the Islamic social finance, I found there are 421 documents. That means there are 421 journals that has published topic on Islamic social finance. Okay, that means you can use any topic. I'm giving you example Islamic social finance. So 421 documents, 421 journals or papers has published on Islamic social finance. Now, can we have the next page, please? Okay. Now, what I have done, I have gathered all the data on Islamic social finance, right? Now, and I found out these are the top 10 journals. What does it mean? These are the top 10 journals that pick the topic on Islamic social finance. So that means if you want to write something, you must know what are the top journals that take your subject. Because those are basically the target journals by researchers. So in this case, we have 10 journals, top 10 journals that if I am the researcher, I'm aiming for these journals for the journal to publish my paper. Okay, so that means the database has that. Can I have the next page, please? All right. Then I found out the 10 journal, the top 10 journal actually publish 170 papers out of 421 papers on Islamic social finance. So what does it mean? It means the top 10 journals publish 40%. But the remaining 90 to the 100 journals publish 60%. So most of the journal, most of the submission of the papers go into this journal. So that means it's very important for the researcher to know the profile of the journal related to the research that we want to do. That is very important. Next slide, please. Okay, now, after we have known the journal, as a researcher, we also must know the ranking of the journal. What does it mean by the ranking? The ranking is termed as quartile. So remember the 10 journals that I explained just now, right? So in these 10 journals, there are journals that Q2, Q1, Q3. So the higher the ranking, that means if the Q1, that is better than Q3, provided it is in the same discipline. Now let's say for example, the last one, International Journal of Social Economics, Social Science, that is Q2, right? But if you have another journal Q1 in social science, that means Q1 is better than the Q2. Understand, yeah? So what does it mean? That means not only knowing the journal, the ranking of the journal is also very important because, can I have the next please? Because there is a study that says the higher the ranking of the journal, the lower the probability or the chances for us to publish in that journal. So what does it mean? That means as a researcher, we as a researcher, in order for us to publish our paper, not only the journal, but the ranking of the journals is also very important because that reflects quality of our publication. I hope it's clear, yeah? Now next slide please. Alright, now this is the area of Islamic social finance. Now remember, as I said just now, you can apply the same to your topic into this database, but the one that I'm referring is Islamic social finance. Now take a look at from 2010 until 2022, you can see the growth growth of the publication on this area very steep. So what does it mean? That means this is a new area whereby not many researchers are doing it yet. So therefore, the growth of publication in this research is tremendous. As we can see, right, it's very, very steep growth. But maybe if you look at other subjects, for example, then you may see the growth is quite flat. So that doesn't mean the publication is the same as this. So now you as a researcher, which one do you want? Strong interest like this, or you want something flat? So you need to answer that, right? Okay, in addition to that, as a researcher, we also need to understand which institution basically producing papers on this area. Why? Because it's very important for collaboration. Very important for collaboration. Let's say, for example, in the case of Islamic social finance, globally, IUM is the top producer, followed by IABF, University of New Orleans, INSEAF, and so on. And I'm very happy to say in this area also, in this global Scopus database, we also have one Indonesian university called University Indonesia. Alright? So therefore, I'm suggesting this could be one area because the growth is tremendous. Next slide, please. Okay. In addition to that, we as a researcher, because we want to strategize our publication, right? It's very important for us to know who are the funder out there, who are actually the party out there basically interested in funding our project. Because remember, everything needs funding, right? So with a good funding, so therefore we can produce impactful research. Let's say, for example, here I can download, or we can extract from the database funder for this topic or Islamic social finance. For example, the biggest funder is the Malaysian government, for example, in this case. And then we have National Science Foundation. And then UA is Universitas Erlangga. Alright? So here is a paper, for example, Critical Assessment or Islamic Endowment Wakaf. And then we have a medium enterprises funded by Universitas Erlangga. So therefore, funder is very important. So when we do research, we need to aim that our project basically has potential to be supported by the funder outside. You know, because we are talking about between the academic and also the practitioner. That is very important. Yeah? And that can be downloaded from the database. Next slide, please. Okay, this is another example. Sustainable development, you know this is a key topic, right? A hot topic, right? Sustainable development goal that is funded by Qatar Foundation. And then we have social responsible investment that is basically funded by Ministry of Higher Education. And then we have another project sponsored by Ministry of Higher Education. So try to understand funding, try to understand your research, and try to match that. You know, because your research is going to be very impactful if it is supported by the funding. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay. Now this is very interesting to me. Okay. We are talking about the research published in that particular country, which means you can actually download the data of the research done in certain country. And I purposely highlighted Indonesia. Alright? And this topic is on Islamic social finance. And I found out that there are 54 topics done on Islamic social finance on Indonesia. For example, you can see here, COVID-19 on Indonesia. And then the Generation Z, intention to pay zakat in Indonesia. And then you can have Islamic commercial social finance in Indonesia. And also you can actually look for this data. That means you as a researcher, right? If you want to write on Indonesia, we cannot miss this core paper. And that is why we call literature review, right? So therefore, in order for you to write on Indonesia, for example, you must get this paper because this is the good paper that write on Indonesia. And you are writing on Indonesia and you don't have this paper. I mean, something is not right, right? So how can you do that? Get it from the database. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm giving one example because I was made to understand some of the researchers here, they are doing on ESG. And ESG, you know, is a very hot topic. It's a trending topic. Remember on the Islamic social finance, how many documents you have? 421, right? And you look at this ESG, the same period of time, 6,000 plus document. So which one is a hotter topic? Which one is a hotter topic? So we need have that mindset as a researcher. So therefore, in this case, for example, this topic is much higher than Islamic social finance, all right? But the growth is it could be different. But what I want to share with you, look at Indonesia. That means studies on ESG on Indonesia, only 36. So what I can say here is actually this is a very potential topic for UHAMKA researchers. Why? Not only is a very top topic, but this topic that published in this good journal is actually only 36. That means there are a lot more to do. So this is one of very potential topic for the researchers to work with. Next slide, please. Okay, now as a researcher, we also need to understand the keywords. So when I download the keywords, because research is about keywords, right? Keywords is actually represent what we tend to do. So on this Islamic social finance, I rank the keywords. So the keywords on this topic is Islamic finance, Islamic social finance, and so on. So that you can mold your research according to the keywords. Next slide, please. Okay, then let me explain this. One thing that we can do is actually clustering. Okay, remember our topic on Islamic social finance, right? Now, Islamic social finance, basically we can divide according to zakat, wakaf, sadaqah. Now, what I did is actually Islamic social finance under zakat, we can cluster the topic. So what does it mean? It means that when you cluster the topic, then you know, for example, the topic on Gen Y. Not many people do on Gen Y yet, but people are also doing on fintech and so on. So therefore, there is a potential for you to look into this Gen Y, their willingness to pay zakat. So not clear what is actually their stand on that. So therefore, this is the area that you can consider within Islamic social finance under zakat, for example. And on top of that, the fintech, blockchain, those are the area that people are very interested at. Next slide, please. Okay, the same thing that I did on wakaf. You can cluster the topic. As a researcher, when you can cluster the topic, then you know what is actually the direction of the topic that you want to do. For example, here, accountability. In the case of wakaf, the topic on accountability is not many, but on the other part, for example, the funding and so on, the topic, there are many papers. So this is very important for you to strategize your research topic. Yeah. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, this is the general keyword on the Islamic social finance. You can have carbon emission, you can have climate financing, and so on. So what does it mean? It means that in order for you to do research, go into this database, try to cluster the keywords. Because when you cluster the keywords, then you can basically design your research. Next slide, please. Okay, now, remember I have explained to you on the keywords, the journal and so on. So before we write any research paper, before you write your thesis, your project work, for example, right, you need to do literature search. So what is a literature search? You need to search for the literature, right? Now, it's a very difficult task, because how to look for good literature? So in the research database, journal database, you can actually have a keyword called bibliometric. Alright? A keyword called bibliometric. Now, what does it mean? Remember just now, we have the Islamic Social Finance 421 documents. Now, when I use the keyword bibliometric, I have only 24 documents. And this is a very important document, because this document tells me about the literature on that particular area. But then, the one that very, very important is actually this bibliometric. It talks about literature, but it talks about time frame. It talks about time. Let's say, for example, from 1980 until now, what people has done on the area of research. So we as a researcher, we need to have this paper, which is called bibliometric, because it will help us in write a good literature. So if you don't write a good literature, how can it can be published in a good journal, right? So that's the whole idea, yeah. Okay, let's take a look at this diagram. Next slide, please. Okay, now this is an example. For example, zakat, bibliometric from 1964 to 2021. So of course, when you have this document, it will be very easy for you, you know, to understand the evolution of the literature, right? And then, for example, you can have the mapping of wakaf, you know, for over 20 years. So all this bibliometric is very important. So use the keyword bibliometric to basically download the papers from the database. Next slide, please. Okay, now remember I said just now, bibliometric is about literature, but it involves time. Now you can see here, for example, this is a bibliometric. So according to this researcher, it says that, let's say for example, Islamic bank risk. The study on Islamic bank risk in 2008 to 2010 compared to 2018, there is no much different, flat. In terms of the volume, it's the same. But you take a look at the study like economic philosophy. In 2008, 2010, it was on the higher side, right? But the interest has basically dwindled over the years. So we as a researcher, remember, we want to strategize. We want to design our research, right? The trending topic is very important. But in this case, economic philosophy and history, based on the data here, is not trending anymore. We need to understand that, because that is actually information that's very crucial with regards to our work. In contrast to that, you can see, for example, here, philanthropic and inclusive finance. In 2008, it was on the lower side, on the green, but then you can see it has increased tremendously. So philanthropic is about wakaf. All right? So these are the things that we need. And we cannot have it only from literature review, because literature review talks about the subject. But bibliometric talks about the subject plus time. So this is a very important keyword. Next slide, please. Alright, so I'm about to end my presentation. So what I've mentioned just now, I have covered on journal suitability, and I've explained on the trending topic, and then to design our research, keywords is very important. That's why I have partitioned, I have clustered the keywords, right? And then the clustering, then bibliometric. So what is implication? So when we do this, we able to do this, we basically can close the gap. Remember, we talk about research gap. So research gap can be in the form of evidence gap, knowledge gap, methodology gap, empirical gap. It can be theoretical gap. So if we do this systematically by utilizing the database, basically, number one, we can close the gap. At least we can tell the editors of the journal, we close the gap based on empirical evidence, for example. Why? Because for the past 10 years, the empirical evidence up to here. But my paper, our paper can contribute in this aspect. So we are selling something, right? So therefore, there is a value added to it, right? Then there is a potential for it to be published. And then when we want to publish in the good journal, for example, it has to be contribution. It has to be different a bit compared to what others have done. So by having all these factors like journal suitability, keyword and so on, we can basically try to aim for any of the gaps here, and therefore the chances for the paper to be published is higher. Alright, and that basically in line with the topic today, which is designing the research for publication. With that, I end my sharing. Thank you very much. Next slide, please.
Okay, thanks for the excellent presentations, Mr. Razali. We are very excited with the topic. So now we come to question and answer sessions. There will be. Okay, and there will be one session for 3 questions in English or Bahasa. Is okay? Because Bahasa Indonesia is our mother tongue. Okay, please mention. So please mention your name and institutions. Is it any questions for this seminar? From lecturer? Okay, please mention your names.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. It's such an honor to me to actually to see both of you in here, yeah, Pak Harun and then Ibu Rusni. I want to ask you about. Okay, my name is Ania Sylvia. I'm actually lecturer in here, and this is a very interesting topic. Maybe actually for especially for the lecturer, yeah, because we have obligation to do publication for improving our knowledge, and then to be more beneficial as a lecturer maybe. Okay, uh, actually uh, I see your PPT, yeah, there is so many topic you give to us. uh, in the I see that Islamic Bank is in the top topic still, yeah, from 2008 until now, until 2017. And maybe actually my topic in my dissertation project is about Islamic Bank. So what is the chance to be published? Because actually I think so many apa ya, because of this still interesting topic in this day gitu ya. How many change, and how do you have a suggestion to be to apa ya, strategy to me to being published as quickly as soon as possible, because you know that the after we got ya ya pokoknya ya pokoknya biar as soon as possible to be published. And maybe you mentioned that the bibliometric maybe same as the systematic literature review maybe ya Pak ya. Yeah, can you can we also make that kind of paper, and how to build a good bibliometric paper and a good systematic literature review? Maybe that is my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Ani, for the great questions. Many questions.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much for your question. Yeah. All right. Now, if I can recap, there are two questions. Number one is about the chances for you to publish in the topic on Islamic Bank. All right. And number two, basically, you're asking whether is it similar between systematic literature review and bibliometric, and whether is there any possibilities of publishing in systematic literature review. Right. Now, actually, in any topic, the chances to publish is very high, but that's subject to certain criteria. Okay, the one that I can tell you is there must be contribution of your paper with regards to the area. All right, so that means you are doing an Islamic bank, and Islamic bank is a hot topic. But when I bank, the topic is relatively not so hot compared to Islamic social finance. Okay, but it's a hot topic because topics of the research topic is always in comparison. That's why just now I gave on ESG, and I also put on Islamic social finance. You can see the volume of ESG is so high, right? Now, actually, the chances is there. Number one, you need to sell your writing to tell the editor, look, my work is actually contribute in this in this aspect. For example, in terms of data, for example, the rest of the paper are doing up to 2020 or up to 2019. It doesn't cover the COVID, for example. But my data is very recent, so you can discuss on that. Okay. Number two, maybe you can also talk about the methodology that you apply. Okay. Other people methodology may not be. They call it the term robust. All right. So there are a lot of way for you to tell the editor who read your article, telling that, hey, but it's good in this aspect. And why I'm saying it's good in this aspect, because I have covered the literature review, and then I don't see, or very minimum have been done on this aspect. Do you see that? So that's why the literature review is the foundation. Iqra is a foundation. That's number one. Now, number two, can we publish literature review? Okay, it's very interesting. Actually, when you go into the database, there are many papers published on systematic literature review. Okay, but literature review only is very hard to be published. Okay, systematic literature review can be published. Now, the concern here is you want to publish because we are doing our PhD, so we have to publish, right? So therefore, no need to wait for you to have your data. You can publish only the literature review, but you must make it systematic. Remember I said just now, no need data, you can publish literature review, but you must make it systematic. How to make it systematic? That one, Iqra. You need to learn how to make it systematic. That's number one. Now, when you go into the higher quality journal, remember I told you just now, right? I shared there is a quarter one, quarter two. The systematic literature review may not be good enough. So now you have to go for bibliometric. So what's the difference? The difference is systematic literature review. You make the literature review systematic, but there is no time frame. There is no time frame. Time frame means you are talking about what the risk of Islamic bank that people have studies. Because let's say you study Islamic bank, you can categorize this Sharia non-compliant risk, then market risk, rate of return risk. There are many types of risk, right? So therefore, you can say that over the years, which risk has evolved in terms of the research, because risk is dynamic, right? So therefore, there is a time factor. Remember just now the chart shows between 1880 until 2020. You can see the evolution, some up, some down. So that is actually higher level of literature review. So for us to do the bibliometric literature review, we need to learn a method called text mining. Not only crypto got mining, bibliometric also got mining. So there is a software called R Studio. But that's fine. Don't make it complicated. So what we can do, make it systematic literature review. How to do it? We need to learn. Where can we learn it? We can learn from studying from the good journal. Because in the good journal, one of the condition is other people can imitate your work. So that means they will tell you very detailed. First step is like this, second step is like this, third step is like this, right? So get one. Inshallah, I pray that you can publish. No need data, literature review also you can publish. I hope I answer your question.
Okay, so we can conclude that different method for the different top journal, right? Okay, is there any questions? Okay, the lecture.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The presenter, Mr. Rajali, I have a question. When you explain to us on the slides, there is no mention about human resources management and also strategic management. I am a lecturer on human resources management and also strategic management. How to get the access related to pursue on your mentioned training topic and keyword. You mentioned about the finance and bank, but anyway, I have to to explain to our children that human resources is one of the field to access the journal on Islamic also. Would you please explain to us? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bapak. All right, now research is about search, but we repeat it, you call right? So search, we search, then we repeat, that's what you call research. So therefore, the one that I share with you just now, Bapak, that one is actually can be imitated based on your area. All right, I will share the slide. Just follow the step. That means I use Islamic social finance, you use management, for example. So when you key in the word management in the Scopus database, I believe that I was told that UHAMKA can access to Scopus database. So just key in management. So when you key in management, actually you are telling the database, look for article that have the word management in the paper, in the abstract, and in the title. So they will give a lot of papers. It may run into 1,000, maybe 10,000, right? Because it's an established topic. Now, our task is, our challenge now is actually to tell our students, this management, what are the trending topic? So therefore, you need to zoom into the latest year. So the one that I show you to you just now is actually 2021, 2022 data for the trending. So from there, you can basically share with the students, telling the student, under management, strategic has, for example, 80 papers. All right. Hierarchy management, there is not much interest anymore. Because, you know, nowadays in organization, people are not talking about hierarchy anymore, right? Because of digitalization, you know, and people also go by project base. After you finish your project, no more hierarchy, right? It's not like the military type, for example, something like that. So you can do that. So just repeat the process just now. Yeah, I hope I answered. Thank you, Pak.
Okay, the next questions. Okay, please mention the name and.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks for the chance that has been given to me to ask Professor about the academic writing research in this event. As I know that my name is Bella Jazasia. I am an alumni of the Islamic Economic Studies at 2017, and let me. As I know the possibility to publish in international journal, we have to relate inside our research with previous study, right? And how to make our discussion more new and fresh, as it will not really sound with the previous study, because in the previous article, my research project is very more just to repeat of the previous article in this publisher, and how to make a site more deep and fresh in this era. Thank you, sir. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for your question. Yeah, Alhamdulillah. Now, basically, if I can recap the question is about you do research, but you found that your research is the same than others. So, what are the new things that you add into it, right? Okay. Remember just now, one of the slides that I show on research gap. Research gap is actually can be in many aspects. Okay, let's say for example, if you are using data recent, so that is actually how your study differ to others. Alright, because other people may use data up to 2020, but your data up to 2022. I'm just giving example. So if you tell the editor, I'm giving this latest data on Indonesia, for example, and that is very, very important for Indonesia because of this certain event. So that one is actually has chance to be published. That's number one. Okay, number two, when we talk about research, actually there are three types of data. Number one, if the data is cross-section. Cross-section means you're talking about only this year, many items. For example, interview, survey. Survey is cross-section, right? Now, you can also have data, many banks, many years. That one is called panel. But if you want to study only Jakarta index, only one item over the years, that is called time series. So you need to understand your data, and then what method that you use that will be the best for your data. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, let's say for example, your research about time series. Time series means you study index, Jakarta, what you call IDX. So other people use a simple method, but you use a very, very recent method. That one is also actually filling the gap that can make your paper has potential to publish. All right. So therefore, what we need to do, that's why I said just now, get literature review. Which literature review? Bibliometric. Why bibliometric? Because the bibliometric will tell you about your research, and then its evolution over time. You need to have that. Once you have that, then you know how your paper differs to other paper, and therefore your paper has a very high potential to get published, inshallah.
Okay, thank you very much. Is it possible? Okay, the session is enough, but I just want to question one, just one. Okay, I saw in these presentations there are many quantitative methods published in top journal. I think, is it any change for qualitative method to publish in the top journal?
Okay, the question is it any chance for paper qualitative to be published? Alright, it's a very good question. Very good question. And that question is actually PhD level question. Now, when we go to the PhD courses, there are two types. One is quantitative. One is qualitative. Quantitative means you can count the data. That's just now I told you just now, right? Time series, cross-section, all those is quantitative. Qualitative, basically the nature is interview, and you use document analysis, like my colleague here, Prorusni, she's the expert in the document because her background is legal. But then, how are we going to analyze if there is no data? Alright, meaning interview. How are we going to analyze if it's interview? How are we going to analyze if it's going to be document only, right? How to analyze that? I don't understand how to analyze that. Actually, very simple. For interview, there is a one software called Atlas 8i. Atlas TI 8, latest version. You just download the video, the software, go for trial version for 2 weeks. Then you interview your friend regarding whether the cost of living in Jakarta, for example. Whether what do they think about the war between Russia and Ukraine, for example, their opinion. Objective of the research is to capture whether the students are keep abreast with the latest trending situation. You record it, right? Then you copy that recording into that Atlas I. That Atlas I will give you a diagram, a connecting diagram. That can be published. And not many people are doing it. That's number one. Okay. Now, number two, I forgot the... No? Okay, which one? Oh, the qualitative. Yes, the qualitative, it can be published, for example, document. Let's say, for example, you are doing on risk. Only risk, no data. But you use all the papers. You take the papers, then you put into this software called R. The software called R Studio. You put into that software, then the software will process for you. No data, right? Just a text, PDF. Then they give you the trend. So, that is qualitative, right? No data. It can be published. Remember just now I show you the bibliometric? No data, right? Just chart. And then editors like to see chart because got color. So you put many colors. Can get published, inshallah. Yeah? Alright. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to the end of our presentations, and the conclusion for this session is just find the top journal and then find the trending topic, for example environmental, social, government, and you can choose what method in your research publications, impact, contributions, and gap in our next research publications. And then I think it is very important to dialogue and always communication with the expert expert researcher. Okay, thank you, Mr. Harun, for your presentation today, and thanks for attending this session for everyone. Hopefully, this presentation will be beneficial for all of us, and then enjoy this seminar. Have a great day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you to Mrs. Mila, who has guided the lecturer today. And thank you to Mr. Razali Harun of the informative and insightful presentation. Here we are awarding a certificate of appreciation to Mr. Razali Harun. Ladies and gentlemen, we will next for the closings in this agenda. Okay, for the certificate, we will give in the backstage from the ladies and gentlemen, in the last session, I would like to thank awesome speakers for today and for our audience for joining the collaborative program and visiting lecturer. And finally, we get this agenda for the closing and saying hamdalah. And I would like to thank you, Mr. Zulfahmi, as a Dean of FEB UHAMKA, and also to all the diligent for Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, IIUM, for coming to our university to, and also, and all the participants for coming in this seminar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.